What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to show you my Git workflow and my process for using staging and production environments. Now I understand that this can vary depending on a number of factors. For example, the project size or the number of people on the team. I'm just showing you what I personally use and what works for me. Now for this particular project, although it is a demo app, if I were to use it in production, I would definitely have a staging server that allows me to do a final test before pushing code to a live production server. The corresponding Git workflow I use is based on the Git Flow workflow. If you look at this article here, it compares different workflows and how to use them. I will definitely link that in the description below. I don't think I'm following the rules exactly for Git Flow, but it works for me and I like using it. So the idea here is to never write code in the master branch. All code is to be written in a separate branch, usually one called develop. So let's go ahead and do that. Git checkout -b makes a new branch. Let's call it develop. I believe in the Git Flow workflow, they also emphasize that you should always write code in feature branches, not on the develop branch directly. I occasionally make feature branches, but I find that I do write a lot of code directly in the develop branch. Try it out and see what works for you and your team. Now, this develop branch corresponds to a staging server, which should be configured exactly the same as the production server. The master branch corresponds to our production server, which we already have in place. So let's go ahead and make a staging server. Let's go into Forge here, and let's go into our server. And let's make a new one. Let's call it staging.laravel e-commerce example.ca, and we're going to use Envoyer for this. So just like in the last videos, do /current/public, and I'm going to add the site. Now let's check out our site. Let me just open a new tab here. Let's go to staging. Okay, so it's a blank site right now. Now let's go into Envoyer and configure that site. So let's add a new one. Let's call it Laravel e-commerce example staging. And the repo is Dre himself. Laravel e-commerce example. Okay. But we have to set the master branch. We have to set the branch to develop. So let's change that branch. Where is it? Right here. Deploys branch develop. Save. Okay. Let's check it out here. Okay, cool. Let's make sure we push this branch to our GitHub. Git push origin develop. Okay, let me just double check if that showed up. Laravel. Okay, develop. Okay, so we have a develop branch. Cool. So let's continue setting up our server in Envoyer. So let's add a server. This is the same steps as before in the last video. So Forge. IP is this. Port is good. Connect as Forge. And this is going to be /home/forge/staging.laravel e-commerce example.ca. Okay, save server. Let me just grab this and put it into Forge. Let's go into Forge, SSH keys, Let's make a new one called Envoyer Staging. Let's paste that in. Okay, let's go back to Envoyer and let's test the status. Looks good here, and let's go ahead and deploy it. And the default branches develop. Okay, that's done. Let's check out our site, and I think it's going to have the same issue where there's no environment file, so I'm expecting an error here. Cool. So let's go ahead and go back into Envoyer. I'm going to grab the environment file from the staging, from the production we did from the last video. So I just go into here, manage environment, and I'm just going to grab all of this, copy it, go back to our staging. Sorry, wrong server, this staging. Go into servers, and I'm going to manage the environment. I'm going to paste this. And then now I'm going to paste that in. Make sure we sync it to our server, update on servers. Okay. Now I'm just going to SSH into our server and make sure. Okay, so we see our staging site there. Let's go into it. Okay, so there is an environment file, but if I go into current, yeah, it's not there yet. So let's do deploy again so that environment file correctly links itself to the other environment file. Alright, it's done. Let me do another check. And it's not there yet. Let's deploy again. Okay, one more time. Let's see if our environment file shows up. And it doesn't. Okay, it does. I just went up a directory and I went back into it, and it seems like it's working now. Okay. And if we go back into our site, it looks like it's working now. Awesome. However, we're using the same database as we are in production, and we shouldn't be doing that. We should have our own database for staging so it can have its own data. So let's go ahead and change that. We can actually do that from within Forge. So within Forge, let's go to our server here. And here within MySQL, we can add a new database. So let's call it staging DB. And let's add the database. Let's also make a new user. Let's call it staging user. And let's just give it a password of staging user. Make a better password. I'm just being lazy. And can access staging DB. Alright, that's done. It's probably also a good idea to replace the Forge one with a more explicit name called like production DB and give that a user as well. But I'm not going to do that here. You can do that yourself. Okay, so now from within Envoyer, we can change the environment file. And we can change it right here where, okay, so the database is still Forge. No, it's not. It's staging DB. And the username is staging user and staging user. Update on servers. Is that what we named it? Staging user? Yes, okay. So if we did this correctly, there should be a new database. So we're probably getting this error because we didn't migrate our database. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm in here. So PHP artisan migrate. Yes. And let's see if that worked. It did. PHP artisan db seed to get our seed. Yes. Awesome. Now we have separate databases for our production and our staging environments. Let me just check SQL Pro. And if you connect, you should be able to see two databases here. Awesome. So we have our staging and we have our main production one. Cool. Let's quickly add HTTPS to our staging because we want to match our production exactly. So sites staging dot Laravel e-commerce and SSL. Let's encrypt. Obtain certificate. Let's activate it. Okay, and we should have HTTPS here. Cool. Everything looks like it still works. So another thing I like to do is restrict access to this page from the outside world. For example, I don't want anyone landing on this page by accident and mistaking it for the real site. So I like to implement just an auth layer on the web server side outside of our code. So let me show you how to do that. So within Forge, just edit your nginx config. You can do this from within SSH as well if you like. And somewhere within here, we'll just add a few lines. So auth basic, let's just give it a title, admin only, and auth basic user file. We'll put it here in this path, which we'll create in a second. nginx.htpasswd. Okay, save that. And let's go into our server. And we have to install a library here. So sudo apt get install Apache 2 utils. And let me just grab my sudo password. Okay, paste that in. Now we can do a sudo htpasswd -c will create a new user. So we want to point it to that file that we defined in our nginx config. And let's name it admin is the username, and the password will be password. And now if we restart our nginx, so we can go into here. Actually, you can go into servers and restart it here. Restart nginx. Okay, now if we go here again and refresh, now we can't get in unless we know the password. So admin password, and that works. And if we tried with the wrong password, then it won't let us in. Cool. Now let me just show you my Git workflow now that we have everything in place. It's pretty straightforward. So let me just add something here at the end. Let's go into our code and landing page right here. Let's just add another lorem. Cool. And as you can see here, I'm in the develop branch. If you're working on a feature, you can go ahead and branch off from develop and just do feature, whatever the feature is called. But like I said before, I'm cool with just putting code in the develop branch. So let me make sure I save this. And let me add it, let me commit it. I think this is part 9. Let me call it Git workflow. Git push Actually, we have to do git push origin develop. Okay, so that's pushed to our develop branch, but not to our master branch. So if we go back into Envoyer, and here's our staging, we can deploy this. And if we check our staging site, this should have updated. There you go, it updated right there. And having it on our staging site allows for several things. One, if you have a new feature that like a client wants to approve, you can push it up to staging, but not push it up to production until you get approval. I've also had several instances where I caught errors on the server side. I didn't get errors on my local development machine, but once I pushed it up to staging, I found some server-related errors that I had to fix before I pushed to production. And after you're sure everything's working, then I would just go back into Git. I would check out master. I would merge it with develop. And I would push it to master. Git push origin master. Now that's pushed to master. Now we go into Envoyer, go into our production, deploy that, and the branch is master. And now if we go into our production site, which is this one over here, refresh, you can see the change right there. Now in future lessons you will probably see me just working in the master branch. Again, this is just a demo app, so it doesn't really matter. However, everything I've discussed in this video is an actual representation of my workflow in a real-life production app. I hope you got some value and some insight on how I handle my Git workflow and multiple environments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.